Most of the time when people jump onto like the live calls, they're like, man, this really makes me believe in the system. I see you guys practicing what you preach and I see you guys making profits and winning consistently. Like, I want to do that now. I believe in what you guys are doing. And then when they start trading by themselves and marking up their charts and submitting, that's when they start believing in their own self, right? And so I won't say names, but one gentleman's rather new with us. He was really kind of getting to a point of worried, can I really even do this? And there's a lot of like technical issues along the way for him. But at either rate, he spent a couple of weeks looking into this and doing what we're telling him to do. And then he finally took his first trades and he was like, I made 31 pips. And he goes, I know it's real. I know I can do it. Like, so not only can you believe in what we're teaching because we're practicing it and showing you in real time with real trades and real money and we're real people, but you also have an opportunity to go through and have these accountability systems that we use in your own trading when you're trading by yourself that will bolster your belief in yourself. And so now you can kind of look down at your feet as you're taking your first steps and look up where you want to go and continue to go. I think most people with trading are always looking down at their feet. They're not looking at where they're trying to go. They're looking just on the chart and just like, I want to figure this one thing out and then my whole life will change. No, you got to figure out where you're trying to get to, have a structured plan to get there, and constantly be looking back and forth while you're learning and make sure you're walking the path. I mean, those marking up your charts and having us review what you've done is vital.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement.
Very good. Well, I figure today we can actually just kind of talk about some items coming in the future. We kind of talked a bit about this yesterday with our community call. Where are your parents? Oh, where do your parents live there, Travis?
Abilene, Texas.
Abilene. But just kind of going over some of the exciting things coming down the pipe here pretty soon, sooner than later. One of the things we started implementing this week, which so far the feedback has been positive on the Zoom link thing. But one of the things that we've known for a while now that helps somebody maintain discipline while they trade is having accountability. And so we have a system of accountability with Prosperity Movement. And basically the premise is you trade for the day, and then you submit to us what you did. And that way we can look at it, myself or Janelle or James. And then we can kind of help you figure out maybe where you're going wrong in the market if you're struggling, or what you're doing right in the market, when you do things right. So that's been our way of holding people accountable. Well, what ended up happening is this year, for whatever reason, people were not submitting those trading sessions to us. So it was really hard for us to be able to help them and continue to hold them accountable. So we decided to put in a little system where basically throughout the week, someone has to submit at least once. And there's a variety of ways to do it. And if they submit once, then the next week they'll get the Zoom password for the Zoom sessions for our group trading sessions. But if they don't submit, they don't get the password, and they're going to have to sit out for a week and trade on their own, probably in demo, as they're learning. So good feedback on that so far. People are like, hey, you know what? This is great, because now they won't forget to submit. And this isn't even like a bad thing, because now when they do submit, we can help them more, right? So now their trading is going to improve. Everything is going to improve with this slight little tweak in our system. And so I've gotten some good feedback so far on the thought, and so we'll see how people submit this week. And
last week we talked about how accountability can sometimes feel, or oftentimes feels bad. Like there's bad connotation to it. Have we heard anything negative in response to it? Has anyone been resistant? Like, oh, I don't want that level of accountability.
No, however, I know when I first said it, because it was a Zoom call, I could see some facial expressions. They were, I think the best way to describe it was a little bit of a surprise, because it was like, oh, dang, like it's serious, right? It's like, yes, we seriously want to help, and we can only do so much, without our members doing something for us to help us help them, right? So no, other than the shocked facial expressions when it was first talked about, other than that, it's been all positive. And I know that they are going to be very grateful for it once they're seeing even better trading results. They're getting that extra help. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun. I like to think of it too, like this was explained to me, I don't know how many years ago, and I don't even know who told me this, but it's like if you have, let's say, two kids and they're both in piano lessons, and one of them, or every day you're like, as the parent, you're like, hey, you need to practice piano, it's practice time. One of them says, I don't want to, and they don't, and they'd rather do other things. The other one says, okay, I'd rather do other things, but okay, I'm going to dedicate some time and commit to this. So you might think that the one who chooses not to practice piano actually has more freedom because they have a little more choice in that moment. However, what ends up happening a year down the road of this habit of one of them practicing, the other one not, somebody at church, let's just say, says, hey, our piano teacher couldn't make it today, or our piano player. You two boys, you're in piano lessons. Do you want to play the piano? One of them has a choice. He can say yes or no because he can play it, and it's really up to him. The other one, however, who didn't practice, doesn't really know how. So he has one choice, and that is to say no. Now who has more freedom? Right? And so that's where sometimes you got to follow some rules first in order to have amazing freedoms later. And that's kind of trading in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Trading instant gratification for some discipline.
Yeah.
I mean, just in a nutshell is what you were saying. Now, were you the one that was telling me that one of your kids didn't want to do their chores, and so you had the other kid do the chore and then paid them through that money?
Yes.
Tell that is how life works. So it's a
Yeah.
really good story.
Okay. All right. So yeah, there so my oldest son turned 18, and so with that I wanted, he's basically my babysitter, right? Full-time babysitter. So I pay him like a full-time babysitter, and I also wanted him to be able to have more of a structured schedule, instead of just whenever dad needs a sitter, he's there almost like he's on call all the time. I didn't like that, especially as an adult. I wanted him to learn more of like a job setting, just to kind of get the hang of a schedule and stuff. So what that means though is that if I need a sitter outside of that structured schedule, I'm gonna have to go to one of his siblings. Okay, and there's two of them that are old enough to be substitute babysitters. Okay, and I went to the oldest one first, and I said, "Hey, look, in about a month, your brother's gonna turn 18.
For
I'm
anyone
gonna
who
need
doesn't know Zach yet, Zach has like what is it now? 62 children at this point?
no 72. No, I'm just kidding.
72.
I have six kids, and five of them still live with me. One of them lives with his fiance and child. So, yeah. But so I bring in the next oldest one. I'm like, hey, you know what? Your brother in a month, he's going to turn 18. He's going to have a schedule. If I need a sitter outside of that schedule, I'd like to offer it to you. Here's what I'm going to pay you. And here's what it would look like. Here's what you'd be expected to do. And we have between now and then, I'm going to help train you a little bit, so we have a month of training. You're not going to get paid for training. You're going to have to babysit for free for a little bit, which is not asking too much for siblings, babysitting siblings. Okay. And she says she wanted to think about it. Cool. So I gave her a couple days. Well, what she did, she went on Google and she found that babysitters were making significantly more than what I was offering. So she comes in a couple days later and says, you know what? Unless you're willing to pay me what Google says, I'm just not going to do it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you one last shot here because I'm not going to pay you that. I'm going to pay you what I offered you. But the reason is because this is your sibling. And also, you don't know CPR. You don't have all this experience from that website that they say, like there's a difference, right? This is very, very different. And so I explained those differences kindly. And I said, so it's up to you. Do you want my offer or should I not offer it to you? So she ended up rejecting it again. So I said, okay, cool, no problem. And I went to the next oldest one. This is my last resort. I'm hoping he accepts, right? So he comes in, gave him the offer. He's like, heck yeah. So I'm like, great. Well, we're going to train for a month. He's like, okay. So I trained him for a month. And then his oldest brother turned 18. We had the new structure. He starts babysitting and he starts making some bank, right? For his age, he feels like he's like, how much money do I got? Well, I'm like, dude, now you got like $40. And he's like, what? Oh my gosh, for an 11-year-old, that's like, whoa, right? And so he starts buying things. And then the next week, I came home. I had to go do something, whatever it was, go to the store, whatever. And I came home, and the one that rejected the offer tried telling me that she was babysitting and that she wanted to get paid. Like she just babysat for whatever it was, 30 minutes or something. And I'm like, no, no, no. You rejected the offer. You don't have a job, right? He's the other one. He's the babysitter. And so I denied that. And, obviously there was upset feelings about it, but that is ultimately the way it works. If opportunity comes a knocking, you know, what I tried to get her to understand when I first offered it too, and she was saying no, as I was trying to say, look, the options are what I'm offering you or absolutely nothing, right? Like you're not going to get more, right? So it's what I'm offering you, or you can just carry on doing what you're doing and not get paid anything extra at all. And she just didn't, I think it didn't register until she started seeing her younger brother buying significant things, for them and like a new Xbox controller and stuff like that, And she was like, "Where are you getting this money?" And he's like, "I'm babysitting." So so anyway, I may give her another shot because the 11-year-old sometimes he doesn't want to, right? So there might be another opportunity to offer, but um anyway, that is kind of how it is, right? You got to hold someone accountable to be able to learn a lesson in order to improve, right?
Yeah. I think I heard another story on top of that. It wasn't from you, but the general premise is the same, where the one of the kids didn't want to sweep the floors, and so the parent recruited one of the other children, and then when it came time to pay, it's like you get yours, you get yours. Actually, you got to take that away from you and give it to the other kid. Well, why? Well, because he did the chore, and so like it was. I mean, that had to have been painful, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the point of missing opportunities, or in a lot of cases being lazy or unwilling or undisciplined. um it doesn't pay out, and then people gripe and moan about it. It just, I'm not innocent from this. There's plenty of things that I felt like I deserved, even though I didn't do the work. And we all grow and we learn, but it's kind of the same, where these big topics like accountability or discipline and commitment and such, right? They're there for a reason, and without them, and the lack of them, oftentimes produces a lack of result that people are looking for. And so it's accountability is intimately intertwined with commitment and discipline as well, right? I'd say. So
Yeah,
do we
I
have
agree.
a main topic for today?
Yeah, so just kind of talking about what's
Okay.
coming down the pipeline. Um, so the new accountability thing that's already now in, right? But we're also looking at some added coaching and clarity, and potentially some new types of trading, like with longer time frames. And this is just done by our entire team. Myself, some of our members are helping out with kind of developing some of these things. But I think what I'm personally most excited for is just being more involved with our traders. Um, I'll tell you a bit of my own little trading journey this year. So for those of you that don't know, I up until this year I was trading a completely different type of trading called binary trading, and that's all I was doing. And then this year I started James Leone and his style of trading, which is more or less forex trading. Okay, we trade more than just forex, but the style and the strategies are forex based. So what I kind of started doing is I was winning because I was on the group calls and I was just paying really close attention to what was being said, and I was earning pips. Everything was looking pretty good. But then I would look at our stats. So we have this trading journal tool, and it tells you your win rate, your hold percentage. It tells you when you win, what's the average amount of pips that you win. When you lose, what's the average amount of pips that you lose, and those kinds of things. And even duration. What's your average duration in a trade? How long are you in these trades for? All of those stats are actually super duper helpful. So for me, what I found is that when I first started, my win rate was great, hold percentage was great. However, my average wins was somewhere between 5 and 10 pips. My average losses were like 15, 17. So I had more wins than losses, obviously. It was still doing good, but I did not like that when I do lose, I lose more than I probably should. And I just remember thinking, I'm like, well, I'm trading with James, and we know James pretty much doesn't lose. He breaks even or wins for the most part. Very rarely does he have a loss. Maybe 4 or 5 times a year. And that last year he had five losses for a total of 18 pips. So do the math on that. Those are tiny losses, right? So I'm like, what is he doing? I'm using the strategy. I'm on the calls with him. What is he doing that maybe I'm not doing? Right. And so I started paying a little bit more close attention. And I'm really, really happy to say that right now, my average loss for pip size is 3.5 pips. I got it down below 5.
Nice.
And that's been over the last couple months. And so those are some, and it's really simple. It's like such a basic principle of how I do that. And those are some of the things I'm going to be actually really hands-on with our community and showing them those kinds of things. And James does it. Sometimes he just doesn't quite explain it in the way that people are understanding. So I'm just going to bring some clarity, and really excited for that. Hopefully here in July, we'll be revamping some of that and showing you guys all that stuff.
Awesome. Was there, I mean, so you went over the being a little bit more intimately involved and having the accountability Zoom links, basically. Was there
Yeah.
anything else that's coming out here soon that would be beneficial to talk about?
A tax course. So just if any of you are wondering, how do you manage taxes with trading, or how do you minimize your taxes? We have our CPAs working on training for you guys, one in Canada and one in US. They're both agreed to do it, and they're working on it. So that's coming sooner than later. I don't know if there's things next year, but we're not going to talk about next year's stuff yet.
Well, with those taxes, I have a question for you, Zach. You personally, would you rather figure out a way to make more money or figure out a way to pay less taxes?
Pay less taxes.
Yeah, I can't stand the concept.
I can't either.
I
It's
can't stand
like you might as well dump it down a toilet because it's the way the government manages money is just so ineffective. And so I'd rather just not have to pay them very much. But that's why we have tax strategies to lower our tax bracket. It's interesting. I just looked up in preparation for the training from our CPAs. I looked up tax brackets, and I'm like, gosh darn it, because last year I could have done a little bit extra, and I could have shaved off 10%. Like there's a big gap. I was just a little over this gap between 22% tax bracket and 12%. I was like, I wish I had looked that up beforehand, but It's all good. Now I know what my goal is this year for that.
Well, I had a friend come over to my house last night, and he's about to graduate. He's becoming a nurse, and as you know, nursing is not just some entry level position. It is as far as a collegiate level when you first go in, right? But there's obviously a lot of other jobs and positions you can get lower than that. So he was complaining. He's like, as someone who's not entry level, and I'm going to get this much income. I'm going to be taxed on this much, and here's what I want to take home. I'm like barely above anything. I was like, they got you, didn't they? Like I gave him some advice and showed him how to structure some things, because as a W-2 income earner, you're in the least favorable position to minimize your taxes. I don't want to get all conspiracy oriented or political here, but I think it's designed that way, and to keep the people on the bottom. And so taxes, yeah, that if we're about to have that released, that's super exciting, because I don't know, the concept of would you rather make more money or pay less taxes? I mean, if all you did was get rid of your taxes, it's already technically a higher income, because now you can use your dollars how you want to without even making any more money. You're just paying less in taxes, and so that by itself is a pay increase. So it's definitely worth the investment to figure all that out. No matter what you're doing, whether it's W-2 or you actually own a business, you're an investor, whatever it looks like. So I'm excited. I didn't realize that was coming out so soon.
Yeah, they're so what I did right now, they're reviewing some preliminary slides that I made. You know my slides. They are less than subpar.
Crayons.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Some blue and sparkles.
So if they like that content, they're gonna just give me feedback, what to add, take away, tweak, and then from there I'm asking it to you to make the slides actually good looking.
You mean to put lipstick on the pig?
Yeah.
Right on. That's cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think what I'm most excited about is having the accountability thing, because I don't think people even realize what an impact that can have, which is why they weren't submitting, right? To be honest, submitting is kind of a pain in the butt, because you got to mark up your trades on the chart that you just took, right? You spent an hour trading. Well, now you're marking up your entries and exits. Now you got to take screenshots of those. You got to get these links to submit into the form. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but worth it. 100%. In fact,
it's not a pain in the butt. That's like, say I'm getting ready for dinner and I just got done cooking, and now I got to put it on a plate, and I got the silverware out, and I got to fill my glass with, like, come on, it's just part of dinner. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
Pain in the butt. It should be a part of it. It should be expected, because it's so beneficial.
Even just reviewing your own stuff, you'll find it very eye-opening, right? You're marking your trades and you'll just be like, wait a minute. What was I looking at? I was anticipating here instead of waiting for the chart to tell me what to do, right? And so you can start to recognize your own behaviors just by doing that simple task. So it's all beneficial, every part of it.
Well, it's the concept of treating it like a business, or in other words, treating it professionally. And if you come in and you treat it like a hobby, you're going to have a hobby. But if you come through and you treat it like in a professional manner, like it's a skill set that you're going to learn and develop and pay attention to and track, then you'll see the outcome from that type of behavior. And so if you look at any businesses track their metrics, or at least a good business will.
Yep.
And they, it can get overkill at some point when you go corporate, I suppose, but the point stands. Right, you're tracking everything and keeping an eye on how to improve over time. If you're in athletics, it doesn't have to be just business. If you're in athletics, you review your plays. You have a coach that's there watching over you, that is your own Yoda, right? That helps you along the way, keeps the team together. Whether you're reviewing your own sessions and you review the opponents, right? You have to review and see what's going on. It's not always being on the field. In fact, most of the time when it comes to athletics, you're not on the field playing and competing. Most of it's about practice and review, right? Yep. So I don't want to underemphasize the importance of those things, because it's a little bit of a burden to go back for a few more minutes.
That's fair.
It's really important. I'm glad, most of the time when people jump on to like the live calls, at least the ones that I've spoken to, they're like, man, this really makes me believe in the system. I see you guys practicing what you preach, and I see you guys making profits and winning consistently. Like, I want to do that now. I believe in what you guys are doing. And then when they start trading by themselves and marking up their charts and submitting, that's when they start believing in their own self, right? And so I won't say names, but one gentleman's rather new with us. He was really kind of getting to a point of like, can I, worried, can I really even do this? And there's a lot of like technical issues along the way for him. But at either rate, he spent a couple of weeks looking into this and doing what we're telling him to do. And then he finally took his first trades, finally. And he was like, I made 31 pips. And
Nice.
hallelujah. And he goes, I can breathe now. I know that I know it's real. I know I can do it. Like, so not only can you believe in what we're teaching because we're practicing it and showing you in real time with real trades and real money, and we're real people, right? But you also have an opportunity to go through and have these accountability systems that we use in your own trading when you're trading by yourself that will bolster your belief in yourself and make you realize, oh, the big picture is real. And so now you can kind of look down at your feet as you're taking your first steps and look up where you want to go and continue to go, right? I think most people with trading are always looking down at their feet. They're
Yeah.
not looking at where they're trying to go. They're looking just on the chart and just like, I want to figure this one thing out, and then my whole life will change. No, you got to figure out where you're trying to get to, have a structured plan to get there, and then constantly be looking back and forth while you're learning and make sure you're walking the path. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how much more simple I can explain that, but yeah, those marking up your charts and having us review what you've done is vital.
Yeah. Very vital. Actually, I'm just gonna check real quick. Let's see if we got any check-ins from from people since yesterday.
We can start doing some public shamings for those who don't. Remember, like old medieval times in the center square. I see Zach Shanky didn't submit. Shame him. Shame.
Oh man, we did get a submission. Holy crap. He did so good. Good job, you. 79 pips yesterday. Oof. Really well done. He's not on here. But that's just one. I better see some more submissions. I wonder if maybe some of them got on the old spreadsheet. I'll have to double check. But make sure to submit, guys, this week. And it just has to be once a week. So you can submit it once tomorrow. It's fine. We just want to see what you're doing. Let's help you.
The power of submission as well, as far as submitting your trades with us, right? To do that is kind of a built-in redundancy as well, because if you know we're going to see what you're doing, you're probably not going to be as inclined to break the rules. And nobody wants to look like a doofus. Nobody wants to, break the rules and then be ridiculed or chastised. Of course, we're not mean about it, but like,
right.
you don't want the embarrassment that comes with not performing at how you should. And so just by recording your sessions, even if you don't submit them with us, but for you to have your own submission or your own recordings, you'll be able to go back and look and looking left of the chart and looking at the mistakes you made by breaking the rules becomes painful. You're like, you know what? I just got to stop doing that. Now, that does not mean that you'll be 100% perfect going forward. In fact, you should expect and account for the times that you don't make a very good trade. That happens. But if you can have that all planned out, mapped out, and you have a systematized tool set, a process that you follow, it's just all the math. It's just math. It's just math is all it is.
It almost becomes habitual where, like I think for James, it's just habit. Like, do you think James is ever nervous to hop on and trade? No. It's such a second nature to him because of how many hours he's put into trading.
He does get to a point sometimes where he has to focus a little bit more intently, right? It's not like it's just an absent-minded thing for him. Right. But as far as nervous, I don't know what I'm going to do when I get on. No, he's not, because he jumps on and there's two options. There's a signal or there's no signal. If there's a signal, let's figure it out, what I can expect on the table and set my trade accordingly. If there's no signal, don't trade. Don't. Okay. And so then that limits a lot of the possibility of failure. I think most people treat their trading like they treat a job. Like, just because they're clocked into their job, they get paid, and just because they're behind a chart, they should trade. And that's just not how James does it. It's not how we teach it. It's you trade when the opportunity arises. And sometimes that means that you'll look, and I've seen people say, hey, I see 5 pips on the table. What a boring day, right? But 5 pips is 5 pips, and you might as well get them, right? And then other times they jump on and they say, oh my gosh, I see 75 pips here, 100 pips or so, right? And then from being able to walk away when there is no signal to being able to forecast and see what's probably going to happen, then you can set good trades and have a higher statistic. And then with that, of course, if the market continues to trend as you're anticipating, then you can also scale in and hyper capitalize on the trades, right? Mm. And so this isn't, I don't think, rocket science. There's a lot of moving parts in whole for any industry you get into, whether you want to start an Amazon store, start trading really well, right? Whatever it's you're looking into, there's a lot of moving parts. And what we are attempting to do, and with Prosperity Movement, is just find all these pieces, lay them out for you. You have to put them together, right? Like Legos. We have all the Legos and the instructions. You got to put it together.
Exactly. I wish we could put it together for you. Unfortunately, we can't.
I wish it was as easy as Legos too. Trading is a little bit more complex. So, not to mislead you and think that it's as easy as following Legos instructions, but that's the way in which we've simplified the process for people to learn. And one of the biggest issues that we find and identify often is the lack of accountability, which is why we keep harping on it. Like, just you follow the rules, engage actively. This is not a passive thing, and get help if you need it. It's a really simple outline of how to conduct your behavior behind the charts. And so sometimes you lead the horse to water, and then you got to beat it and make it drink the water.
Yeah. Awesome. Sweet.
Well, no, we don't beat anybody. Don't listen to Travis.
That's right. We don't. Beat him with kindness.
We don't. Unless you more, not after the accident.
Not after we lost Jimmy.
Jimmy was a good man.
So, I think if somebody makes the same mistake over and over again, we might be a little more stern, but you make a mistake every once in a while, even if it is the same one, but it's every once in a while. Listen, that's just part of it, right? We're not all going to be perfectly disciplined every time we trade. I'm not. However, I'm pretty disciplined. I'm disciplined enough to be profitable, right? And that's kind of the inconsistently profitable. So anyway, I think, is there anything else, Travis, or should we wrap up?
Well,
shorter one today.
Is there room to talk about the experience with one of our members about the lack of volume during certain times? I just want to be gentle there.
Yeah. Definitely won't say a name. So I got a message from one of our members who is struggling, and
props to him. He's definitely willing to ask for help. That's great.
Yes. And it's I want to help, right? I want to make sure that he's getting a good quality result. The number one excuse that I'm seeing from this person is that due to work schedule, the time that he has to trade, the market, there's just not a lot of volume. It just doesn't move a lot. So what I decided to do, because I think that's just an excuse. I think that there's probably some discipline that can be improved on. So what I did is I reviewed his last 3 sessions, which, by the way, were not submitted. So I had to specifically ask him to submit the last 3 sessions. I looked at those. Every single entry was a late entry. Okay. So I'm like, you know what? To show, like, instead of just saying, look, here's a late entry, etc., it feels like there was a missing belief where his existing belief, which was that of doubt, was saying there's not enough volume for me to make this work at this time.
Well, you know what framing bias is?
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
No. I'm just kidding. Nice. You called me out on it. No, yeah, it's where is it where you like you kind of more or less believe in an excuse enough to like make it a real belief?
Well, basically, where you've come to a conclusion about something that oftentimes is reasonable, but it makes you overlook the uh, evidence and other logical pathways that could go into a different conclusion, right? So, for example, you could be flying in an airplane and there is a fuel loss is happening. You find an answer of how to fix it, and because you think it's the correct answer, you overlook information from the other instruments on the plane. I was just watching a video yesterday about a horrible disaster with fuel supplies on airlines in 2001. I'm a nerd. I thought it was fascinating. But the framing bias was that they thought they had figured it out. And so they actually decided not to refer to the manual, which was proper protocol, and look at other possible solutions or issues. And so the framing bias here is that basically, I believe that this time of day to trade is not high enough volume and whatever else XYZ excuse, and therefore there are no solutions, and I'm frustrated. But that framing is going to overlook then other potential things. And so you're saying you can't just say no, that's not right, because he'll overlook that completely, or anybody would really if that with that kind of framing bias. And to just say like, hey, here XYZ that you've done already, that he possibly would overlook the feedback there as well, to say no, it just is the wrong time. I believe it's the wrong time. When we have our own really hard opinions, sometimes it's hard to convince us away from it. At least me, I'm very stubborn.
Yeah,
you
same.
know that. And,
same.
Yeah. And so that's all it is. And so you took the initiative and said, okay, well then let's go show and demonstrate that there is an alternate point of view, a different perspective. Is it the perfect time of day to trade? Probably not. But is it possible? And is there opportunity available there as well? Well, again, depends on the day, but the answer is an astounding yes. Like there's always, well, I say always, there's usually an opportunity no matter what time you're able to get in, but there are better times, I suppose.
Yeah. So this week I shifted around my schedule so I could trade at the exact same time that this person trades. And I've been able to every time I've done it so far, I've been able to hit at least 10 pips an hour. Which, as you know, is kind of the initial recommendation from James as far as goals. And admittedly, it does move slower. It is definitely a lower volume time frame. So he's not wrong there. The part that I'm kind of calling out a little bit is that you can't make it work. You can absolutely make it work. In fact, 10 pips an hour, that's such a fantastic metric. James always says if you can trade 10 pips an hour, you can be reasonably wealthy. And so it's really just a matter of cranking up the numbers at that point, if you can be consistent. And so I think the first day was like I got like 15 pips. Second day I couldn't trade on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I got like 11 something pips. And then this morning I didn't trade because I had a horrible headache. But I'm going to trade tomorrow, and I'm going to do it all next week as well. But as far as I can tell, it was no different than trading at other times, other than I had to be a little bit more patient. And so during those, I think I got like a couple break evens, so there were some false signals, if you will, where gave me a signal, I entered, and then I realized now it's starting to be weird. So I exited with a break even, 0 pips. And that's the kind of discipline that's required, right? To be able to recognize what the chart's doing and manually closing a trade. I was talking with the community yesterday at the boot camp call, and I was explaining what I see some people do is James will say, okay, you can enter here, but it's finger on button, which means it might not go very far, and it might turn around. So if it does, close it, right? You're on the pulse, you're ready to go. And what some people do is they'll have their mouse, their cursor over the X for the trade to X out the trade. And then for whatever reason, it's like they can't click. It's like this fear of missing out. Like what if it's just a temporary pullback and it's going to go the right way again? You know, if I just let it, and they get involved in their own thought process instead of just saying, "Nope, the chart's saying it's going the other way now. I'm closing it." Right? It's that kind of discipline. And that's what I'm seeing from this gentleman. There's a couple of disciplinary behaviors that are not there. That should he do those, which I know he can, he's going to do fine, and he's going to have a night and day difference, right? It's just for some folks, I think it's easier for them to understand and to get it when they see it. And so I'm going to be doing this with other people too, not just this one gentleman. We're kind of picking on him right now, but there's others. There's a couple others that have told me something similar about a certain time frame. I'm going to do the same thing to them. I'm going to trade at that exact time and show them that it is doable with the proper amount of discipline and a good trading plan.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, cool.
Well, I don't have anything else to add to this conversation. I think it's been productive.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are listening in and you're not part of our community yet, definitely hop on board. We have some content that we can gift to you. All you have to do is go to prosperitymovement.online, and there's a million buttons there. There's even a chat in the bottom right corner. If you want to mess with our chat AI bot, you can go ahead and enter a chat in there and ask questions. The bot will attempt to get you scheduled. Please don't mess with the bot. I was just kidding. We've had some funny chats with the bot. But if you want that information, absolutely go to the website, prosperitymovement.online. Get some of our free content. Let the free stuff help you determine if this is the right path for you. Do your own due diligence with it. And then, of course, talk to someone. Let us talk with you, and we'll answer questions and stuff, and we'll get you going. Chris is wondering if someone will contact him regarding starting or how it works. Okay, cool, Chris. I'll send you a message. Appreciate that. Cool. Anything else, Travis?
All good.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
God bless.
Adios.
Bye-bye.